to episode 2 of Yes, a podcast and YouTube series presented by the Hunter Brooks Watson Memorial Fund. I'm Jacob O'Connor. Today we're talking about the music industry and philanthropy with 16-year-old Anwar Karim. He plans to use his grant to grow his company, start a merchandise line, and support youth outreach organizations in the DC area.
Hey Jacob, I'm doing really good. I'm excited to talk about some of my plans in 2021. And in terms of how I got into the music industry, started out of a really deep passion for hip hop that I had growing up. I mean, around the age of 10, I started recording. In this day and age, it's very easy to, start making music and start putting it out there. SoundCloud was my first taste of that. I started actually doing out covers. I did a couple covers from some popular songs from back in the day, put them out on SoundCloud. They got some traction within my friend group, but I would say when I really started to get connected in the music industry is when I started attending some Music Industry Academy classes. The Music Industry Academy was founded by Easy Street, who's a local DJ. He's been in the music industry for over 30 years, and they basically give young artists in the DMV area advice on everything from contracts, purchasing beats, how to sort of grow your fan base, how to use Instagram. And they also just give a lot of opportunities to young artists. And the first one that I got was on the Safe Summer DC showcase, which was put on to help promote, wearing face masks and staying indoors to fight COVID, but also to sort of combat the gun violence that comes around in the DC area every summer. And I was tasked with making the theme song of the showcase. And basically I made a song that promoted wearing masks, staying indoors, and, putting the guns down to have a safe summer. And that's actually the title of the song, Safe Summer. And that ended up being featured on WUSA 9 DMV Soundcheck, which was a great opportunity. They interviewed me and played the video. And that really, boosted my confidence and got me going with things in the music industry.
Wow, that sounds like an incredible opportunity from the music production side of that. Obviously, they task you with creating a song, and we just think, oh, he made the song. But what's the technical side of that look like? What's your process?
As I started, putting more music out there, Instagram and social media, a couple producers reach out to me, a few of which who I've actually worked with and had songs with, but also just kind of using the connections that I have. Like I have a few relatives who do the music thing. I know some people through the Music Industry Academy, but the first step in Safe Summer was really finding the beat. And then I started thinking about how am I going to make this not only important, but catchy. The song's still out there on streaming platforms. It's on my EP titled Multifaceted. And the title sort of comes from an idea that I had of just trying to experiment with a lot of different sounds. I did some traditional boom bap sounds. I did some sort of more soulful production. I did some sort of the New York drill sound that's very popular right now. So, and it definitely, grew my following and my fan base.
What would you categorize your music as?
I would say it's heart music. No matter if it's, if I'm talking about a positive experience that I had, or if I'm speaking to the people, or if I'm speaking about, sort of a painful, traumatic experience that I had, I definitely say I always want my music to touch people in the heart. So I always describe it as heart music, and, it's primarily hip hop influenced. And most of my songs I'm rapping on, but I have experimented a little bit with, melodies, a little bit of reggae, a little bit of rock.
So what I want to know now is what pushed you to launch Elevate and Motivate, not only as a music production company, but also as a means to support social activism?
Yeah, so Elevate and Motivate started out, I guess, in 2018 when me and my older brother, Taj Davis, who goes by the stage name Coffee Black, we started recording some tracks together. I had been recording since about 2014, and he had always been involved in it and very supportive of it. First track that we ever recorded together, we were in a very tight closet, and we were like right next to each other. There was no punching in and punching out. It was just, okay, this is your part, you go, and I'm sort of going to step back. From there, we just sort of built it up. In terms of the social justice piece, I think that's something we've both always been very passionate about from the start. I've been doing music since I was about 10, but when I started to get to my teenage years and started to understand how the world works more, and just sort of a lot of the inequalities that we see on a day-to-day basis, especially in this country, I sort of started telling people when they would ask me what I want to do, I just want to give people more equal opportunities and try to just bring more equity into the world, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between equity and equality. Equality is when we all are given the same thing, but that might not grant us all the same chances and opportunities. Equity is where everyone has the same chance to succeed, the same opportunities, and the same benefits too. And that's really what I'm working towards, equity. So with Elevate and Motivate, it just became sort of a branch of that idea both of us always had. As we start to progress with the company more, I've had more conversations with family members, especially my brother, about, where do we, not only where do we want to go this year, but where do we want to go in 10 years? As an end goal, Elevate and Motivate sort of wants to be a combination. We want to teach people how to make music, but we also want to teach people what to do if they get pulled over and are potentially being racially profiled. We also want to teach people that gun violence is a problem, and contributing to that problem will only make it worse. We definitely want to, make the music and do our thing, but I definitely think by the time it's all said and done, it would be a disservice if we didn't sort of give that back out to the world.
Absolutely. And I think it helps anytime that you want to start an organization, not for profit. You need to have a platform, you need to have a community already built. And I think that you're doing exactly right by starting with Elevate and Motivate and using your music to kind of get that first touch of exposure for people. And then, down the road, when you start that non for profit, all of your fans are going to want to go to you. All the people who've been listening to you for years are going to want to go to you because they know what you stand for and they're able to connect with you.
Exactly. And it also goes to a big piece that I want to focus on more going forward with the music, which is vulnerability and relatability.
I love that. So you had mentioned very briefly that you had a partner, someone that you'd worked with named Coffee Black. That was his stage name. Do you have a stage name?
Yes, I go by the name of Ice Karim. Ice and then my last name, which is Karim. So you've had Ice Cube, you had Ice T, but now you have Ice Karim.
What is your proudest accomplishment thus far on this journey?
My proudest accomplishments is a song called Rain Down. That I made with a few of my Music Industry Academy brothers by the name of Ahmad and Traumatized Beats. Traumatized Beats produced the song and he shot the video for it. And Ahmad is another young and up and coming MC from the DC area who also works with the Academy.
My people been suffering for years. Look up in the sky and it's raining tears. We gotta start facing our fears. Put all the pain in the rear view. 2020, get a clear view. If you black, then they fear you. Say it louder, they won't hear you. The Music Industry Academy was doing classes through Instagram. And so we would all get on at 4:30 every Monday and Wednesday and sort of just show some of our work. And, the founders would sort of give their opinion on and give their take, and other people too. And so one time, Traumatized Beats was on there and he played the instrumental for the song Rain Down. And it was a Kirk Franklin sample from an old gospel song. We decided that with everything going on, we were just coming off the heels of all the protests and the police brutality of 2020. And we sort of both decided, Ahmad and I, that we were going to touch on, racial inequality, the problems with the system. It was really like a Black Lives Matter anthem of 2020. And we shot the video at Black Lives Matter Plaza and the Martin Luther King Memorial in DC. But that song is probably my greatest accomplishment. I think I'm going to look back on that in 10 years and just remember being, a 16-year-old kid and standing up in Black Lives Matter Plaza with his fist up, rapping about social injustice and inequality and all of that. And I think that song also definitely resonated with a lot of people because it ended up helping me win the I Got Next challenge, which was also through the Academy.
So what I want to know now is if you were to go back and restart your journey all over again, because there's definitely a learning curve with all of these different projects, what would you do different?
When I started out, the beats I was using, I would say, were more modern. They were more, I guess, what you call hype songs. That's what my friends were listening to, and that's what all the sort of young people were listening to at the time. And I sort of felt like I kind of had to step in that lane because that's what was popular and cool at the time. And there's definitely still remnants of that today. But what I'm realizing now is all of the successful artists that I follow and appreciate and love their music, they just make the music they want to make, and the people who want that music, they love it and it resonates with them. And the people who don't like the music, they don't listen to it. But If I could change one thing, I would go back and I would just be more true to myself in terms of the music that I made and like my lyrics. A lot of my lyrics when I started out really young, I was like 12 years old, being very like braggadocious and sort of thinking I was ahead of where I really was in my career. So if I could change one thing, I would just be a kid more. And that's one thing I'm trying to do now. I'm still only 17 years old and I'm not even an adult yet. So one thing I would change was definitely just be myself and just be in the moment a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think a lot of people struggle with being in the moment and enjoying where they're at. Um, and so, for me, whenever I won my grant, it kind of came at a pivotal time where I wasn't sure how I was going to fund certain things, and the bank account was getting kind of low from the venture. What has it meant for you to win the Hunter Watson Memorial Fund?
It was honestly a huge blessing. Elevated Motivate had been, in the works for a long time and we had just got it started. We had a few t-shirts out. We only had, a couple buyers. Artists get about less than a cent per every stream. So, I mean, if you get 1,000 streams, you can do the math and that's not much. So grant was really a huge win for us because it allowed us to do more, and now we can get this heat press and now we can have a great photo shoot and now we can do some promotions on social media to get the merchandise out there, whereas before it was sort of like, do we contribute this money to music and buying beats and buying placement on playlists, or do we contribute it to the brand and the merchandise? And now the grant allows us to do both.
What is the vision for what you want this to turn into?
I hope to reach a point where people who wear Elevated Motivate aren't just wearing it because they know us or because they're big fans of their music. I hope to make it, a well-established brand. And I think only a few people in the hip hop game have done that in the past. And I would say it was the Wu-Tang Clan with Wu Wear, and then the Rockefeller Boys with Rockaware. And the reason why they were it was so successful because the clothing was authentic. It was everything that all of their fans wore already with their logo on it. And I think that's something that we can definitely do in today's day and age. But I hope to reach a point where Elevate and Motivate LLC is like a well-established brand that goes beyond just the music.
Where can people find you online if they want to connect or listen to your music or learn more about you?
So you can reach me on all social media platforms at Ice Karim Raps. That's Ice Karim Raps RAPS. You can also check out the Elevate Motivate brand, the music, the merch, the story. It's all on there. www.elevatemotivate.com. And if you have any instrumentals you want to send me, any playlist idea, just if you want to build with me at all, you can reach me at my email, which is Anwar, Anwar at elevatemotivate.com.
My final question for you is, what advice would you give other young people who want to break into this industry?
So this is a question that I've actually asked a lot of people as I've been in a lot of rooms. It's a question that I stopped asking because I felt like I was getting the wrong answer, or not the wrong answer, but I feel like people were holding back. People usually say, grow your numbers, build up your fan base, just keep going, perseverance, all of that. But what I would really tell people is be flexible, not only in your negotiations and your music, but also be flexible in the sense that a lot of people come into this industry wanting to be in the main spot. They want to be artists, they want to be singers, but songwriters are paid very well. A&Rs are paid very well. Producers are paid very well. I'm actually trying to get into beat making. That's another area that I'm trying to branch out into. So although a lot of people think the music industry is oversaturated right now, I'm a believer that there's a spot for everybody. You just sort of have to find your spot and appreciate the highs when they come, because they don't come very often.
That was fantastic, Anwar. I really appreciate your time, man.
Thank you, Jacob. I had a great time.